I said that in a post-apocalyptic world like in The Last of Us, we have to be afraid of normal humans more than the infected. The third episode proved that. But are the guys who attacked Bill's city the worst? Come on, think with me. I want you to meet all the human threats in this world of The Last of Us. Hey nerd, what's up? I am Breno. The Last of Us has its dangerous infected, of course, but let's talk about humans now, which are 1,000 times worse actually. After all, normal humans can lie, deceive, be dirty, make plans, traps, and of course use weapons, making things much harder for Joel to trust anyone. After this video, I'm sure you'd rather face a horde of infected than a single human, especially the ones who seem weak. So don't leave just yet, learn to be aware of all the factions in this world. And remember, of course I gotta tell you this video is full of spoilers, so be aware. But first, I need you to subscribe because we just started this channel, so it will help me so much if you subscribe. We're actually the top 1 pop culture channel in Latin America. So maybe we can conquer the world. And you are gonna help us do that. So please hit the subscribe button and let's get going with the video. FEDRA. FEDRA, or Federal Disaster Response Agency, was a military group that took care of all the quarantine zones. They were responsible for taking survivors to them, distributing food, keeping everyone under their rule, and those who did not comply would be killed. Simple as that. Members of the FEDRA were the best equipped, after all, they are trained soldiers, with more protective uniforms and better weapons than any other organizations. Luckily though, they don't hunt people who leave the zones. Their obligation was inside them, only inside. Outside, they don't care. They want everything to burn and die. Fireflies. The Fireflies were the main opposition against FEDRA, wanting democracy back and using force to achieve this. The warlike power of the Fireflies was also great, with many members and bases spread throughout the country, but they ended up failing, being practically extinct, and the rest of the members were joining other factions. Smugglers. The smugglers were the ones who got everything you'd want and need. If you wanted a gun, just ask one of them and you'd get it. During the series, we saw that Robert, Tess, and Joel are all smugglers, smuggling equipment, parts of cars, and machines, medicine, weapons, and even food vouchers. You might even think that they aren't real threats. Now, I want you to see this, okay? Imagine Joel looking at you straight in your eyes. Would you be scared? Yeah, I would too. Hunters and bandits. The Hunters and Bandits were pretty much the same, extremely violent, killing any survivors or infected for resources. Guys, they killed the survivors even for their clothes. And if it was old or torn, they just left the corpse thrown right there to rot. The big difference was that the bandits are masters of ambush, pretending to have an injured person to catch the victim by surprise. The Hunters, on the other hand, they have better weapons. And just so you have an idea, in the game, they even have this freaking armored car with the machine gun that killed, a bunch of old people. And you can also see in the TV show how much work these factions take. Bill almost kicked the bucket fighting the bandits who tried to invade the city. Cannibals. The group led by David were probably the worst of all. By far, actually. They did horrible things, and their leader especially. After years of trying to survive, the resources start to get scarce, which is to be expected, to be honest. What was not to be expected though, and never will be, was to force your whole group into cannibalism. They hunt survivors across cities to serve them as the main dish for dinner, and did so with the utmost naturalness, which is crazy, and without any remorse. And to make matters even worse, David thinks that he was the only one capable of restoring humanity with his offspring, and when he met Ellie, he was sure that she was the ideal partner. I don't know how he got that. Guys, this guy deserved what he got, okay? The guy, besides being a cannibal, wanted a 14-year-old girl to be his partner. I am glad Ali gave him a tough hand. WLF, or Wolf. One of the most important factions, if not the most important of all. They only appeared in the second game, but as a second season has already been confirmed, they will definitely appear. The Washington Liberation Front, WLF, were known as Wolves, a paramilitary organization with one of the best bases I have ever seen in history. Guys, their base is literally in a football stadium with a cafeteria, shooting range, bedrooms, area for animals, and much more. They are literally prepared for anything. Their preparation was so great that they were responsible for ending FEDRA in the city of Seattle, taking practically the entire city. Now, of course, they had problems, especially with the Seraphides, another faction of Seattle. Now, and why are they the most important? Guys, Abby was a member of Wolves, and she was actually the one who killed Joel with the golf club. She was the daughter of the doctor who was going to perform surgery on Ellie. At the end of the first game, before Joel, went there and killed everyone, both him and Abby won revenge, and they both got her. Seraphides. The Seraphides were the faction that also wanted the city of Seattle and went to war with the Wolves to get it. They were a pretty violent cult. They hated everyone who wasn't part of their cult. They didn't hesitate to kill anyone or anything that moved. They were created after the prophet preached the idea that infection was a punishment for the abuse of technology used in the world. So they usually use bow and arrow, melee weapons, and the coolest hissing communication in combat. They also make human sacrifices to redeem themselves from their sins, as if that would, really solve it. Now guys, even though they are primitive, you might think that they are, and guys, even though you might think they're weak because they're primitive, they actually know how to use the environment like no one else, using the wreckage to hide and catch the wolves by surprise. Rattlers. The Rattlers were the last one to appear in the second game. It was a faction based in a hotel in Santa Barbara, California, and heavily armed. They used assault rifles, many traps to kill or capture infected and survivors, and the humans became slaves, and also they had infected guard dogs. No, seriously, these guys were completely crazy. They chained clickers and played with them like they were their pets. Okay, now humans definitely got the worst of it for sure, especially those who didn't want to become slaves. They were left hanging from pillars on the beach to die at the hands of an infected or die very slowly, like starving and thirsty. So I'm guessing you got the idea that humans are definitely the worst threat in the world of The Last of Us. Now I want you to comment down below which faction you think is the worst. And of course, now that we're gotten to the end of the video, I want you to subscribe to the channel. Click on this little ball because it's free, and you like free things. And I like free things, unless you like expensive things. Well, then you can pay me and subscribe at the same time, which is cool, right? And if you don't want to miss out on the next video, please click on the little bell below because you get notifications and you definitely want that, right? Please? Alright, I'll see you in the next video. I love you. Peace.